Hi guys, welcome to today's video. So today I'm going to be testing out a foundation from Primark. Now if you're in the UK you'll know exactly what Primark is. If you're in the US, Primark is just a big clothes shop, but they, not recently, but pretty recently have just gotten a huge kind of beauty section, and I've heard some really good stuff about it. I have previously bought a couple of things from the makeup side of Primark, and it's surprising how good it actually is, and it's so cheap. It's honestly nearly as well cheaper than drugstore stuff. So I have bought a foundation. This was £2.50, which doesn't sound promising. It doesn't sound like it's going to be any good, but I did recently watch a friend of mine's YouTube video, which was her top 5 foundations. Her name is Hannah. I will link her channel down below because we started YouTube around the same time. I think she may have started a bit later than me, and she's really growing fast and I love her videos. So a little shout out to you, Hannah. But in her favourites she actually put in this foundation, and that just made me have to go out and buy it, so that's what we're going to test out today. So the foundation, as I said, it's £2.50. is in this little tube. There is 35ml of products, or 1.1 US fluid ounces. So that's quite a decent amount for £2.50, and this says that it's a medium coverage and a semi-matte finish. So we're going to see how well this works and if I recommend this to you, because you know £2.50 is very cheap for a foundation. As you see, I've already got my brows on. So I'm going to open this up. The colour I've got in this foundation is nude, and they were a couple of little testers, and I think nude is probably the one that's going to match me the best. So I have opened it up just to colour match it, and again I'm going to just see a little bit if this is going to be okay. And I've barely put anything on my skin then, but I do think that this will be okay. And to apply this I'm going to use a beauty blender. I'm also going to do a wear test on this, see how well it actually lasts throughout the day. So if you want to know the results, then just keep on watching. So I think to start this off and get right into it, I'm going to put a big amount on the back of my hand. I have no idea the coverage of this. I know it says medium, but I don't know if it's going to be a medium to full, light to medium. I don't know how it's going to wear through the day, or if it's going to go shiny. I really hope that it's not going to break me out in spots, because at the moment my skin is getting a lot better than it used to be, apart from this horrible red spot up here. So I'm going to go in with my beauty blender. I apologise for how filthy this is, but I'm going to go in the beauty blender like so, and then we're going to just start applying it. I'm going to see if this is also buildable and see if my concealers are going to work very well with it. So I'm going to be quite generous with this. Already the colour is really good. It's a little bit pale for me and my neck at the moment, just because I did actually fake tan yesterday, but that's not a problem. We can just bronze this up and make it a little bit darker. I always do prefer having a bit more of a lighter foundation colour, just so that we can darken it. Obviously if it's too dark to begin with, then it's really hard to lighten that colour. But all in all, upon first application, or this first little bit, the coverage is actually surprisingly really good. It doesn't feel too cakey. It seems to be buildable already. So I'm just going to continue and apply this across the rest of my face. Well, I've just applied the first layer, and this is extremely surprising. I don't know if the camera's a little bit too bright, but from the monitor it looks a little bit shiny, but actually it has dried down to a semi-matte. The coverage is insanely incredible for a foundation that is £2.50. That's all I'm going to say. So there are, I do have a couple of spots that the darkness is showing through, but honestly that's just kind of what happens with healing spots and foundations for me. I'm really surprised actually. The one thing I do like about this is that it has filled in some of my smaller pores. So I would compare this a little bit to the Maybelline Matte and Poreless, which is one of my other favourite drugstore foundations. I think the coverage is actually a little bit better than that foundation itself, but that Maybelline foundation is buildable. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more to a couple of the areas that are a little bit darker and this one spot up here. But already this is actually phenomenal. I'm very, very surprised. And I don't think it's oxidized either, which is also a really good sign. So yeah, this is actually extremely surprising. It's not enough, I don't think, to have completely covered sort of the dark circles under my eyes, but I always go in with concealer anyway, so that is what we will do next. But this is actually very, very surprising. So before I do anything else, I am going to zoom you guys in so you can actually take a closer look of what my skin looks like. I do actually look quite airbrushed already, which is kind of insane. So yeah, I'll zoom you guys in so you can have a bit of a closer look. So this is what the foundation looks like super close. Obviously there's no powder, there's no concealer, but I think it's done a really good job. This is amazing actually, I'm very surprised. It has gone into a little bit into sort of lines here. I am getting a few smile lines, so that is kind of normal for me in foundations. But as I said, there's no powder, no concealer, there's nothing else on at the moment. So from first impressions and first glance, this is a very good foundation. Okay, so now that that's on, we're going to put on a bit of concealer, see how well the concealer works with it, if it blends out okay, if it makes the foundation a little bit funny. And the concealer I'm going to use, and the one I've been loving recently, is the Makeup Revolution. It's the Conceal and Define Full Coverage Concealer and Contour, and this is brilliant. It's actually sold out everywhere, it's been extremely popular, but I have really loved this. I'm in the shade C6, so I'm just going to get a little bit and run that right under my eye on both sides. We're going to see how well this blends out. I think I'm going to contour a little bit with this as well. Put a bit down my nose, on the forehead. There we go. And then going back in with the same beauty blender, and we're also going to blend this out. I'm hoping that this concealer is going to work really well with the foundation, because the concealer is also kind of a semi-matte as far as I have seen since using it. So you do kind of have to work quite quickly with it. But yeah. So just turn the brightness down a little bit on my camera, because on the monitor it seemed super, super bright. But just put the concealer on. It is blended absolutely amazingly into the foundation. I think it looks seriously stunning. So I think what I'm going to do now is powder. I will probably do the rest of my face and come back, and then we'll do check-ins throughout the day. Alright guys, so I've finished the rest of my makeup. It's really pretty. My skin looks really nice. It's very surprising. I feel like I've just got one of my other sort of higher end drugstore foundations, but it's really impressive. That's all I can say. So the only thing I'm noticing as of right now is that it has kind of gone into a couple of lines on my forehead and around my mouth. But as I said, this is pretty much really normal for most of my other foundations, especially the matte foundations, but it's not often that I wear a dewy one just because I don't really like it. But yeah, so now I'm going to go. I've got some errands to run. The time is 22 minutes past 12, so we're going to come back in a couple of hours, see how this foundation is holding it up, but so far, very, very impressed. Alright, so it's now about 4:30, no, it's 20 to 5. So I've worn this makeup for about 4 and a bit hours, 4.5 hours, let's say. And we're going to do the first check-in. And already I can see that it's starting to look a little bit cakey, that's all I'm saying. and a bit shiny as well, a little bit patchy. I'm still really impressed by this foundation. I still think it looks really nice, and I can't get over the fact that it's a Primark foundation and it was £2.50, so you can't really go wrong with that. But saying that, I am feeling a little bit greasy around the T-zone, and it is starting to break down around my nose and just look a bit like I've got a lot of makeup on. So I'm going to zoom you in just so you can have another close look, and then probably go off again and come back in another couple of hours. So I'm really hoping that the lights aren't too low, but just enough so that you can actually see what it looks like. It is starting to emphasize texture a little bit here, which I don't really like, and then again on my nose it's starting to break up and around the nose as well. So that is what it looks like on my forehead, and then around the rest of the face. So yeah, I mean, I'm so impressed by it, but we'll see what it's going to look like again in another few hours. I have a feeling it's going to start really breaking down, really going a bit greasy. On camera, I think it looks really nice. So I'm really impressed with this. I could do with powdering a little bit, but for the testing of the foundation, I'm not going to powder, and we're just going to let it do its thing. Alright guys, I'll check back in with you in a little bit. Guys, it's now 7:15 in the evening. I've had this makeup on now for nearly 7 hours, and I am so ready to take it off. I know it's not that late, but I still worn this makeup for a really long time. But let's have a closer look at what my face is doing. So honestly, I feel super cakey right now. I am very ready to take my makeup off. It is starting to feel really heavy on my skin, especially around my chin area, but you know, I hadn't powdered earlier, so that's probably why. It's held up pretty well. I'm not too shiny, although my T-zone area is becoming a bit more dewy, but that is like shine that's coming through. It's done alright, to be fair. I do like this foundation. It has started breaking up my nose. I'm going to zoom you guys in a minute so you can have sort of last closer look. But yeah, so overall it's not too bad. But I will zoom you in now, and then I'll give my final thoughts afterwards. So I'm hoping you can see, obviously it's totally broken down around my nose. I got something black on my upper lip earlier, which I don't know where it came from. But yeah, so I am starting to feel really sticky, and the foundation is kind of coming off on my fingers a little bit. But I don't think it's too bad. I mean, yeah, that's kind of what it looks like now. On my forehead, it's kind of gone into the lines, and it is showing my texture a lot more than it was doing this morning, or this afternoon. So anyway, that's it guys. I would recommend this foundation. I also would wear it again for maybe shorter periods of time rather than an all-day foundation. But to be fair, for the price at £2.50, it's incredible. That's just so silly how cheap it is. And you know, I would recommend going to check this out at your local Primark. Again, I'm in the shade Nude. And yeah, there are a load of other shades, and I think actually one of the things I do like about this is the fact that it is my correct undertone, and there was a lot of different options as well, which I do think is extremely important nowadays with foundations and concealers and things, because you know, there's been a lot of controversy if you've not known about the whole Tarte thing. Obviously Tarte have brought out this new foundation, and they only released like 3 medium to deeper shades, which weren't good. And then just thinking about the people with a darker complexion sort of later on, and saying that their foundation colours are going to be out in spring and summer, which I think is horrible, and everybody should have an option nowadays. It's the 21st century, it's 2018, everybody should be equal in the makeup industry. So that's just my little bit of thought on that. And like I said, this did have quite a big range. I don't know how many colours they had, but it's impressive for Primark. So anyway, that's it. I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to take my makeup off. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if there's any of the foundations that you guys want me to try out, then please let me know down it. You know when you speak too fast and then you can't get your words out? I'll start that again. If there's any other foundations or any other products that you guys want me to try out, then leave your comment down below. I would love to open up a discussion. Also, let me know what your guys' favourite foundation is, and then maybe we can all interact with each other. Alright guys, if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell. I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.